You might think the sky is blue, but my job back then was to tell you it's actually purple if you really look, and this is why. And I'll give you a whole bunch of examples, and it makes them think to question, wow, maybe it is purple.
We are screwing things up so badly. We're either going to get it straight and we're going to prevent this next mass extinction, which is on its way if we don't make changes, or maybe we just go ahead and have that extinction and let this planet be peaceful.
We either start investing in change now, or change will be forced on us and it won't be pretty.
Welcome to Real Men Eat Plants, the podcast that challenges the stereotype that a plant-based diet is only for Eve's offspring and green smoothie anarchists. We're here to show you that real men can thrive on a plant-based diet, and that it's not only good for your health, but also for the planet, animals, and most importantly, your libido. Okay, maybe your libido shouldn't be more important than the planet, but we're just being realistic here. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of plant-based living, sharing inspiring stories, exciting plant-based news, and highlighting the achievements of individuals who have embraced this empowering way of life. So grab that green smoothie and settle into your favorite spot, and let's embark on an exciting journey together. Real Men Eat Plants is your hub for inspiration, information, and connection within the vibrant world of plant-based living.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Real Men Eat Plants podcast. This is where we keep it plant-based, punchy, and politically aware today. I'm Bryan, and today we're digging into something deeper than the soil. We're talking about power, policy, and how the political machine is shaping what's on your plate. So in today's episode, we're hoping to discuss the current political landscape and what it has done to the food system, the environment, and especially to the animals. Spoiler alert, it's not so good. But we're not here to rant. We're also here to try and find the cracks of light and get into it here. So without further ado, I appreciate everybody joining us. I want to do a quick round of intros and just sort of say I had a baby last year, and she is turning 1 year old next month. And I'm so excited. But that did cause me to slow down a little bit on the podcast. Life gets in the way with the family and stuff. But we're back, and we'll be doing our best to throw out one episode or maybe more every month. So if you're new here to the podcast, we're trying to really find that cross-section where plant-based living meets purpose-driven conversation, where we're trying to tackle culture, climate, health, and ethics through the lens of food. So with that, I will do a quick intro here and welcome to the show Ella Majors. She's a powerhouse in the plant-based world and a dedicated vegan since age 15. Everybody beat here except Geoff, maybe. And Ella is the founder of Sexy Fit Vegan and the host of the Rise and Thrive podcast, and a wellness coach who's been featured on the Today Show and a whole bunch of other cool places. So welcome to the show, Ella.
Well, thanks for having me, Bryan. I'm so excited to be here.
And next up is Jim O'Quinn, a veteran advocate and boots on the ground organizer. Jim has decades of experience in community health, food justice, and some other grassroots campaigns. And welcome to the show, Jim. You are also connected
Thank
with
you very much.
Bro Pro Vegans, right?
Yeah, I'm the founder of Pro Vegans.
Love it.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Geoff Palmer. How many years now is it, Geoff? 40-year vegan. That's right. And Geoff is the founder and CEO of Clean Machine, a 100% plant-based fitness nutrition company, and does a whole bunch of other cool stuff on behalf of vegans. So thank you, Geoff, for being here, and we appreciate you.
Likewise.
I wanted to tee it up with the food system first and foremost, and we can start with the foundation around that. I think transparency is being gutted from how food is produced, how it's marketed, and I think we're seeing fewer rules around what producers must disclose, especially when it comes to how the animals are treated or how the food was sourced. But I think, the twist is if you eat the plants, I feel like you're kind of sidestepping that.
Yep.
And, just clean, traceable, ethical food. So I got a few questions for each of us just to try and unpack this topic a little bit more. So, Geoff, I'm going to let you go first, set the stage for us. When I was trying to prepare for this episode, I was saying, like, your brand is really built on the integrity and transparency. And I know that's what you talk about on a regular basis. So, what do you see are the biggest challenges with when ethical brands try to compete with corporations hiding behind these loopholes and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So first, let's back out even a little bit further to the macro level. Right now, we are seeing an unprecedented sense of greed and selfishness. More billionaires in this world than ever before. It's greed gone wild. And it's self-serving. I see two personalities on this planet. Those who are interested in service to others and those who are interested in solely service to self. Now, when you look at all of nature, including our own physical biology, all of our cells work together, collaboratively and cooperatively. If our cell goes rogue and says, I'm going to just thrive at the expense of all other cells, we call that a cancer cell, and it's deadly to the organism. That's the macro, and micro is the same. When we see this self-service to self at the cost of every other being, including animals or other people that are not like us or other people from another country or whatever imaginary boundary we create in our minds, that we start behaving like a cancer cell. And we need to get back to our original design, our own biology, and how the rest of nature, including the astrophysical universe itself, all works cooperatively. And we need to start adopting that before we become the cancer that wipes out life on this planet.
Very well said. Maybe I shouldn't have let you go first. You said you have an eloquent way of describing that. Thank you very much. Ella, it's going to be a tough act to follow. You know, I was thinking about this, like, even when I trained my mom, like, she buys the black beans that are 20 cents cheaper, but I point out to her they have 20% sodium in them versus the ones that are 20 cents more have, 0 or 3 or 4% sodium, just to chase the salt equation on that front. But like, I look at it as like the deception that's sort of baked into the system, especially around like what's natural or humane and those things, free range eggs and misleading things like that. Like, what guidance do you give the people that you work with as they try to align their food choices with their health and their values?
Yeah, well, one of the first mantras that I ask my clients to adopt is I approach myself and the world with curiosity and compassion. And because I feel like if we can come from this fundamental place of getting really curious, of challenging the beliefs that we think are our own, but they're actually programmed beliefs that are not our own, right? And we just don't know it. So if we can start to challenge our subconscious programming, the beliefs that were programmed into us, usually, when we're very young, and we just hold on to those often until the day we die, as opposed to taking a step back and saying, hey, maybe these aren't my own beliefs. Maybe these were, all programmed into me by the influencers in my life, my parents, my teachers, the media. And now more than ever with social media, that is just feeding us confirmation bias of whatever is already programmed into us. So my first kind of recommendation to people is to kind of let some of that go. We're so ego driven. If we can let that go and just get really curious, and so that we're not just constantly confirming the biases we already have, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, very, very well said. And Jim, like, I guess what's your reaction to Ella and Geoff's, description of some of that stuff, and like, how does the lack of transparency hit hardest in the communities and the places that you're actively involved in?
Well, it's quite interesting because when you look at all of this, the brainwashing that has been going on from day one, I've been a part of that, unfortunately. My background is from the branding and graphic design and advertising industry. And Now, I wasn't directly involved in some of these things like milk makes a body strong kind of crap, but all said and done, the whole idea has always been to navigate people's minds, thinkings, and beliefs and corralling them into a complete different way of thinking that's natural to them. You might think the sky is blue, but my job back then was to tell you it's actually purple if you really look, and this is why. And I'll give you a whole bunch of examples, and it makes them think to question, wow, maybe it is purple. And that's what's happened throughout the longest time because people have been told that, the meat is good. Don't question it. It's what our ancestors have been doing for the longest time. It's the right thing to do. But what I love hearing now and seeing now is, to your point, Ella, the curiosity, the defiance, the people who are saying, wait. You've been telling me the wrong thing. This is a lie. And I'm stepping forward and I'm saying this is wrong. So these people are becoming enlightened, becoming awake and aware of what's happening in the lies and the scams that are going on with regards to the food that they're eating. It's almost being it's a strong match of wills. You've got people who are trying to do the right thing, educating, like that's what we're doing here, to educate people and clearly show them the right side of the way to live. And then you have these industries that are getting stronger and the restraints are coming off. They're able to find every loophole under the sun to just go Wild West and do whatever the hell they want. And it's really, really scary because they can blatantly lie on a package now and have very little repercussions because of that. So it makes our job a whole lot more challenging to take that away and say, wait. Listen, we've been trying to show you that that's a lie. This is proof, and that's how it goes. So the one thing that I like to use as a technique to help educate people and make it clear to them, live by example. And just show, listen, 28 years vegan, strong, healthy, fit, happy. All those people saying this way of life, a healthy vegan lifestyle, is wrong, they're wrong because I'm living proof. Geoff, living proof. Ella, living proof. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. We're all there. It's fantastic. And that's where our message goes, lead by example.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. I don't know if my computer is playing nicely or not. So can you guys hear me okay? Okay. I think it was catching up, but I've caught most of what you said. So I apologize for that on my side with the computer. If it happens again, I may need to drop off and come back in on that front. So we know, the food system we know is being impacted by the government and the decisions that they're rolling out as they subsidize different pieces of this and set the laws and the standards and stuff. But what are the action items that we should do or be different? I know just a couple that I looked up was, local harvest. I think it's localharvest.org, where you can buy from verified local producers, buy from verified vegans, those kinds of things. You can support foodispower.org and support, the plant-based watchdog organizations that are helping double check this. Do you guys have some other really tangible things that we can do as we explore the food side of this and make sure that, what can I do today? What can I be watching out for as I go to the grocery store? How can I, influence it the way I want to? Do you have some tangible things that you each do perhaps day to day?
I can go first if you want.
Either way.
So voting with your dollars, we all know, is the most powerful tool we all have in our toolbox. And you were talking about this earlier, Bryan, when it comes to buying it was more along the lines of, how are we going to show the big government and even big pharma and all those different huge organizations where we stand. And I think by voting with our dollars, what we're buying is going to be the clear way to do that. And we bypass the whole issue of the animal products. If no one's buying the animal products anymore, it's almost like it's not relevant anymore because they're going to not have a demand for it. They're not going to produce them. So my point is, just focus on helping educate people how incredible and diverse the plant world is and what you can do with it, and that there is nothing lacking. Every vitamin, macro, micronutrient you can possibly eat is a part of every plant you're going to eat. And it's as simple as that. And just show how much fun and flavorful and incredible it is. And then the benefits for the body, how strong, fit, energetic, healthy you're going to be just by doing all those things. And here in Canada, where our opportunities to go to a local farmer's market are short-lived because it's winter here almost all the bloody time, it seems. So we have a very short window to go and enjoy those opportunities, but we can still keep buying them from the grocery stores. And even if you are unfortunately having to buy from huge farming giants, nonetheless, if you're buying from companies that are just producing massive amounts of soybeans, okay, I'm cool with that. You're not buying them because they're feeding cows anymore. You're buying them because they're making them for humans. Good job. It's that type of thing. So it's just keep promoting to buy the plant-based stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, I think whenever, for those of us that are privileged enough to be able to make choices like buying from fully vegan companies, going to fully vegan restaurants, for those of us who have that privilege, for sure, that's something that I do my best to support fully plant-based companies and businesses. You could get vegan tattooed all over your body, like me. And it's like you said, to your point, Jim, just being a living example, right? And I got the tattoos in part because now I don't have to say it. Like I can be me, and why probably Geoff, you wear the vegan shirts all the time, right? Like,
Yeah.
so we get to be, and I think part of this is being the most healthy, strong, fit, and joyful people, which is really challenging in this political climate, in this day and age, when there's just so much division, so much hatred, so much more hate, I don't know, hatred, but towards vegans, right? And I really think we can't meet that with more hate and more criticism. We've got to meet that with compassion and being the best humans that we can be and representing what we think it means to be vegan, which is compassion for all life. And the most challenging is having compassion for the people that are causing the suffering. But if we let that get in our heads, if we don't have the emotional tools to deal with that, and we've got to help each other out, vegans, to help each other process that. And I've got my master's degree in social work. This is something that I help people have the tools to do because it's tough. It's really tough. It's a scary time. So I think having that wherewithal to do what we need to do to take care of ourselves and spread peace and love and joy and all the things that veganism really represents is really important.
Yeah. For me, growing up, biopsych major in college, both my parents taught at the university level, so teaching and science geeking is in my blood. I love it. It's candy to me. I'll stay up all night reading studies because they're just so fascinating to me. But, in this age of sharing information, which I do daily on my posts, the latest research in health and nutrition and fitness, especially in the plant-based things, is exciting, but at the same time, we have this orchestrated, well-funded animal industry misinformation and even paid for industry-funded science papers being written that are just blatantly false. They're blatantly biased. They're not even trying to hide anymore. It's just because they're feeding to people's bias. I want to believe that study and not that one. Instead of looking at critical, we've lost this sense of critical thinking and trying to appeal to that when people are so leaning into their own bias that they'll gravitate towards the misinformation that is being spread by these industries. And it's marketing. It's not science. It's marketing. It's getting people to continue to buy their products rather than move away from it. Now, there's a great app. I think technology is actually going to save us. And it's weird for me to say that because I've been a bit of a troglodyte most of my life, back to nature boy. But in this case, I think there is some light at the end of the tunnel. I was reading about an app today that you can take a picture of your food and it will tell you the nutritional value of everything. It'll tell you to say, hey, remove that piece of meat and add some more vegetables or some berries, and you're going to get better health results for it.
Wow.
It's not biased. It's focusing on what does the body need? What are your nutritional requirements? What are in the elements of the food that you're eating? Analyze that data and give you the facts. Now, I think this can help people whether they're saying, hey, I want to be healthier, or I want to age slower, or I want to lose fat, or I want to gain muscle. It's going to tell them the right things for our human physiology. So with the advent of quantum computing, we can basically, realistically, take every known cellular function in the human body and input that data, every known chemical, phytochemical, every nutrient in nature, and put that in and know how that's going to respond. Quantum computing is going to tell us that we are not only herbivores, but that we will excel when we fine-tune and optimize an herbivore diet in whole food plant-based nutrition. It's going to end the debate. It won't be this study against this study. It will be quantum computing that can spit out information and do calculations, trillions of calculations within seconds. So taking all of the available data that we have about our entire physiology and all of what's in nature and match it correctly. And it's going to tell us the truth that humans are herbivores, and we will excel and repel disease states by putting the right food in our body. It will end this debate. No more carnivore diet, no more keto diet, no more plant-based diet, just the human diet. And that's will be the truth. I believe that, mark my words, it's going to happen.
So fund your local quantum computer club and help drive that forward so we can get there a little quicker. I still think Ella wins on this one. We need more vegan t-shirts, vegan tattoos, and love on this planet for all of us to, but yeah, no, excellent. Awesome points. Thank you all. I wanted to switch over to the climate. I think I was reading something about methane regulations were slashed. The EPA is trying to overturn the authority to regulate carbon pollution. Who's winning? It's really the oil companies and factory farming, and who's losing? I feel like it's the rest of us. But what's the silver lining that, I'm looking for these cracks of light and stuff. I think that, individual states, startups, us as individuals are trying to step in, and the movement is heading more and more every single day towards the plant-based lifestyle. Whether politicians like it or not, it's going to happen. So maybe, Ella, if I start with you, you're coaching people on their wellness journey, and that journey connects people to these bigger systems that we're all living on. We only got one planet, right? How do you help people understand their power to impact the climate through their daily food choices?
Well, I think this is the power of some of these documentaries too, just for people that are interested. And, I'm always meeting people where they are. So some people come to me saying, everyone wants to be fit and healthy, but some people, that's their main motivation. So we start there. And what happens is when people start to make the changes and start to move toward the plant-based living, they kind of let their guard down, like defenses down about the repercussions of eating meat and animal products. And so then, and everybody's wants this planet to be here for a long time to come. So, like I said, I'm meeting people where they are. And then if they're interested in the environment, then we start to explore, wow, you're making these choices and look how it's going to affect the environment. And here are some great documentaries to watch. I find that Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy, Eating Our Way to Extinction is another one that I don't know if a lot of people have seen that one, but I think that's a really an amazing one. So those are three documentaries I'll recommend because sometimes it's just helpful to hear it through that sort of lens as well. So we start there.
I love it. I agree completely on that front. I want us to outlive the length of time that the dinosaurs were here. They were here for millions of years, doing great, kind of a thing. We've only been here however many thousands of years, but we're not doing very well to outlive the dinosaurs. That's for sure.
That's for sure. And I will say, I will say, I mean, admittedly, and you can cut this out if you don't like it, but I go back and forth sometimes. I am not gonna lie. I'm like, you know what? We are screwing things up so badly. Like we're either gonna get it straight and we're gonna prevent this next mass extinction, which is on its way if we don't make changes, or maybe we just go ahead and like have that extinction and let this planet be peaceful. Like I have to say, I wonder sometimes.
That's true. That's true. Jim,
Yeah.
you've seen the ground level effects of environmental neglect, I think. Like, what would you say to someone who doesn't think change impacts their food or their family?
Well, I just want to add one thing to Ella's perspective there, and that is with regards to the people who are, I've dealt with so many people like, the world's falling apart. I don't care anymore. I can't make a difference. Or they don't believe that eating meat is bad for them and that it's causing heart conditions and stuff like that. Nobody believes any of this until it happens to them on the spot. You are in the hospital, you had a cardiac arrest of some sort. Then it's like, oh my God, why did this happen to me? Well, let me explain it to you again. But my point is, these people who are defiant and saying, I'm just going to ride it out and not care anymore, I try to bring to their attention, would you rather live a healthy life with no pain, no sickness, and all that stuff? Or live the life you're living, carefree, don't care what's going on, but then you get sick and worse off every day because of your food choices? I would think that living this healthier way is the way to go. And if everybody were to adopt that kind of mindset, I want to live the healthiest, strongest, happiest I can be, well, here's the opportunity to do it. Eat a plant-based diet. Done. And then you see, part of the philosophy of Bro Pros and mine overall has always been, I don't preach. I don't say, you got to stop doing that. Don't do that. I live by example. What are you eating? "Oh, I'm eating this great big hummus thing with the chopped vegetables and everything and naan bread. Damn, that looks good. And they love it. And it's so good. So I'm not preaching, don't eat your burger. I'm preaching how I'm living so healthy and strong, and so are all the people around me. So I like doing that. And to your question about the environment and how the perspective of people around are misguided and they're not seeing the fire in the forest that's happening in front of them, well, and putting the dots together, I try to explain to them with the documentaries that do a fantastic job. And one I also wanted to add to the list is Christspiracy. That one is phenomenal because that locks into something people have been talking about forever, religion. And oh, it's part of my culture. Well, what has your culture been doing for all this time? So back to the whole documentaries, it's really good because they have this very 10,000-foot perspective to look down and see the damage that's being caused. Because it's very hard to see the damage that's happening when you're standing too close to it. But when you realize that, oh, I have no water in my creek, why is that happening? Oh, because the cows 1,000 miles away are drinking it all. That's why. Now it makes sense to me. So, but one-on-one, where we're standing, it's a lot more challenging to convince people and to make them understand it until they can see it for themselves in a fantastic documentary. And then you can throw out the statistics and facts and other things to help reinforce that.
I love it. Excellent points. Geoff, I know we've talked before, I think briefly, about methane and land use, and those as some strong reasons to go plant-based. I feel like with that policy sort of failing us, like, where do you see the real momentum coming from now?
Yeah, I don't want to disempower the individual, but 80% of all of our food is produced by 11 companies. We got to start at the top. They are making food decisions. The United Nations last year, the year before last, brought together some of the top food scientists, agriculturists, farmers, health scientists, people from MIT, top Cambridge, all over the university all over the world, brought them together and said, okay, we need to change our food system. The whole system is broken. This is not sustainable. We cannot feed people the way they are eating with an animal-based diet, an animal-centered diet. We will run out of water. We will overpollute this planet. We will not be able to sustain that. Food prices, animal food prices will soar. We have just the impact of Ukraine, which was the breadbasket of Europe. Once they went into the war, we saw chicken skyrocket, eggs skyrocket. If that's just one country, one small country, relatively, not even a major country, imagine if we have an economic downturn or collapse in some of the larger companies that are producing, or a drought, or a natural catastrophe. Are we going to be able to handle this? We can't continue to feed 14 pounds of grain to yield 1 pound of meat. This is just not sustainable for 10 billion people. It's impossible. So we have to change. The question is, are we going to get creative and use our brains, use our technology, and use this amazing, tremendous amount of wealth that we've created at the top to get companies to say, wait a minute, we need to shift gears and invest in sustainable products. Now, the other thing is that I don't get what big corporations haven't seen. How do they make their money? The consumers buying their products, right? If your products are killing your consumers, is that a sustainable path to growth? Is that a sustainable path to profits? No, you get less profits from less people. More sick people, more dead people is not going to sustain your business growth. It's business counterintuitive. If you want better, more people, healthier people buying your products, supply healthier products. And we know over and over from the research that plant-based is the way to go to improve people's health. So stop killing your own customers and start making products that you do it. Now, the good thing is, if we can spend $11 trillion a year producing food we know is harming people, we know is killing people, we know is causing diseases, imagine how much more we will be excited about producing food that we know helps people, improves people's lives. How much better is a CEO and all their employees going to feel good about what they're doing for other people, for the planet, for the animals? That's what I think can motivate us. If we can get this far doing something we all intuitively know is wrong and bad, imagine when we're actually invested in doing something we know is good. That's going to drive some radical change, and it'll drive it quickly. That's what I'm counting on. But we're right up to the edge. We're at the tipping point. We got a real clear choice to make. We either start investing in change now, or change will be forced on us, and it won't be pretty.
Yeah, I question whether or not we've crossed the tipping point in the past year or not. That's probably a topic for a completely different episode. So tune in for that one. I'm going to lay out a couple of quick tips that I tracked down, but when we get to the next section, you can lay on the last round of tips. But if you want to slash your climate footprint with food, check out eatfortheclimate.com. Even if you aren't on the vegan bandwagon like the rest of us, you could still help out a whole bunch by eating a few plant-based meals every week. Check out dissect.org, and you can check out local renewable energy incentives that your states and cities are doing to help be part of that change. And obviously, I strongly support Veganuary, inspiring some people to go vegan and try it out for 30 days with us. But
if you want to optimize your health by following a plant-based, low-fat diet, look into the education, events, recipes, exercise, fun, and more provided by the Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group at pbnsg.org.
But let's focus on the last segment, which is the animal side of it. I think the cruelty is almost intensifying. The government's rolling back oversight on animal transportation, animal slaughter. There's longer transportation times, unfortunately, fewer inspections, less accountability. It's all corporate profit, like you were saying, Geoff, over animal welfare. But I also think I'm seeing more and more of a surge of rescues and shelters, and the resistance is basically growing. Investigations are going more viral, I feel like. Plant-based diets are rising, maybe just not fast enough for the likes of us, but people are choosing compassion over the convenience. So Jim, have you kick us off? How have you seen animal suffering tied to public health, inequality, economic inequity, human suffering, all those kinds of things?
Well, one thing that's kind of interesting that I just helped out it kind of finalized last year, and that was a slaughterhouse that was being completely operated by inmates from a local prison. And this defied all logic in every perspective because you have people in there who were already broken mentally, who had very little structure throughout their life, who are now forced into this environment of perpetual pain and suffering and trauma. What good is that in any respect? So I work with a gentleman who was a strong force behind shutting this down. And over the course of 2 years and a whole lot of work, it got shut down. So the whole point behind that saying, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, no one would want to eat meat. That transparency that we're seeing more and more on social media is helpful in some respect, and letting people be aware of the absolute atrocities that are happening on a regular basis needs to be identified. But the challenge is, again, I've seen this time and time again where you see people doing the activism, they're out there showing these gruesome images and it's scaring people, but it's very, very short-lived. It's that shock and awe scenario where, oh, I'm not eating meat. And they change their mindset for about a week until they go to a friend's place and the burgers are being served again. It's like out of sight, out of mind, we're done. And I unfortunately have to pull it back to the whole, if you don't even focus so much on that, but live this healthy lifestyle and just keep showing people how to be the healthiest they can be, that sticks with them a whole lot more than that traumatic visual that they saw one day, or that one flick through a doom scroll that they saw of a baby cow being crushed. And that would, like, I know these things are being brought to the surface, everybody's becoming more aware of them, but it's not sticking. And the reason it's not sticking because it's not personal anymore. It's, yes, you can inform somebody that that burger or that glass of milk, let me just show you where that came from. And that will scare them and gross them out and upset them for too short a time. But if I show them the huge benefits by ditching dairy, just because it's not healthy, and soy milk, almond milk, this milk, this milk. Oh, and by the way, check out this ice cream I made with this milkshake, this thing. Now they have something to believe in. Now they have something that they can walk away with and share with their friends and be excited about. That's the kind of avenue I like to go down.
I love it. Well said. Well said. You stole the answers to some of the other questions I was going to ask. Ella, if I turn over to you, I mean, like, you're in the coaching space in a big way. I'm sure some people come to you with grief. And like, how do you help turn some of these people that have grief towards some of these atrocities into action?
Yeah, it kind of goes back, and I think we need to come at this at all different angles because different ways of relating help different people and connect differently with different people. But yes, and this is why I'm on the board of Hogs and Kisses Farm Sanctuary. So yes, these sanctuaries are, it's a drop in the bucket, the animals that are rescued, and they get to act as ambassadors and help people make that connection. And I think one of the most powerful connections people eventually make is, how is this individual pig different than my dog? Right? Making that connection and seeing these animals as individuals as opposed to, the factory farm of, you see the pictures of and videos of thousands of animals. It's harder to connect and relate to one. So I think that's the power of sanctuaries. Of course, every life is precious and every rescue is important, and having that be having them be ambassadors is really important. And as far as the grief goes, yeah, this is a tough one, and I deal with it a lot with my clients. And we really start looking inward at accessing peace in the midst of devastation, realizing that it doesn't have to be an either or. Either I'm depressed and grieving, or I'm peaceful and happy and joyful. We get to have it all as part of this human experience. And that's what I help my clients kind of realize. And one of the most powerful sayings that I teach is the goal is not to feel better, it's to get better at feeling. And this really helped me in some times of deep grief in my life, the death of some of my own pets, when I didn't know how to deal with that grief. And I remember, Geoff, actually, I reached out to you and when my dog had passed, or when my cat had passed, and he said, I think your animals earned their ascension. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. And then I started kind of really getting into understanding grief and this idea that we get to allow these emotions to be there and we don't have to act on them right away. It's how I help my clients also who turn to food for emotional reasons, who self-sabotage with overeating or binge eating, right? It's often this reaction of I've got to run and hide and distract myself from these negative emotions right away in some way, shape, or form. And if we can learn to sit with them and be okay with having these emotions, and then to learn to deal with them in healthy ways. And so we explore tools of how to do that, and realizing this is an and thing. I get to be sad and grieve the loss of all these animals. I mean, I turned vegetarian at 7 years old and vegan at 15, so that's 30 years for me. And I just remember the devastation of really connecting with the suffering of this incredible suffering on this planet of billions and trillions of animals that are dying unnecessarily at the hands of humans. And it's been a lifelong journey of learning how to deal with that. So that's I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's powerful stuff. Geoff, Jim already answered my question for you, but I'm sure you've got some reaction to what Ella and Jim said. So fill us in.
Yeah, and like Ella, and I'm sure Jim too, vegan for the animals. That's health is a benefit. Environment is necessary, but I'm vegan first and foremost for the animals. I'm an animal. I know what suffering feels like. I lost my mother, my father, and both brothers. The pain drove me into suicidal depression, so intense that I attempted to take my life, not once, but twice. I couldn't take the pain. I didn't want to live with the pain anymore. I don't want that for anybody else. It was a horrible experience, not only to see your family die all around you and feel powerless to do anything about it. That's part of the reason why I got into the science, because I wanted to help other people not have to experience what I went through. So that compassion is at the root of everything I do. But I understand people have become jaded in this modernized society. We've objectified everything. Women, people of different color, people of different sexual preference, people of different sexual identity. Everything has been objectified and distanced and disconnected. We're disconnected from nature. We're disconnected from other nationalities. We're disconnected from other religions and belief systems. We're disconnected to ourselves, to our own sense of purpose and relationship to others. It's a hard time to be alive right now with this level of disconnection. And with this, it feels lonely. And people turn that loneliness into anger, into fear, into projection. This is a difficult time to be alive. And here we are trying to tell people, be compassionate. What is that? Where do I find that? Mm-hmm. So, I look to saying, hey, wait a minute. What do we do on a daily basis? We eat and we move. Everybody does that. We have to survive. So I started there with exercise, because if you exercise, you feel a connection with your human body. You feel that mind, body, soul connection. You feel it when you exercise intensely. Anybody who gets into exercise knows that feeling. And it is reconnecting. Same with the food. When you eat healthy food, you feel how that makes you change. You feel more energy. You feel more alive. You feel healthier. When I became raw for 4 years, my sense of hearing, my sense of smell, my sense of taste, my vision, acuity, all really greatly enhanced. And I'm like, I'm living a different experience than I see people numbed out, dumbed out. They're walking around with all their senses turned down to 1 instead of 10. And it's like, it's no wonder we're stimulation all the time, because we're not feeling anything. When you find somebody who's clinically depressed, what do? Burn themselves, cut themselves. They need to feel something because it's better than feeling nothing at all. And that's almost the state we're in right now with this constant overstimulation of marketing, of yelling politics, of all this hate on social media and judgment. It's difficult. So I said, all right, we need to find some nutrition out there that is way above, because it takes a drug now, a synthetic chemical to realign our body back from a disease state. We have to go to extremes to counter the negative extremes in our own body. So I'm saying, all right, let's find the absolute best in nutrition we can find out there and get people to consume it. Because if we can create even just a little sense of shift, like, oh my God, I'm consuming this amazing fungi, the amazing mycelium that's got all these incredible health benefits that aren't even in the plant kingdom. Maybe, just maybe, that little bit of shift inside will trigger somebody to say, what else can I do? What else is there that I can shift? If this makes me feel a little bit better, what else can I do? I want more of that. And I'm hoping that nutrition can be, and exercise can be, a way to create that shift in people. Because I've tried talking to them straight on, they blow me off. They put up the walls. They argue the counter arguments ad nauseum. Oh my God, if you're on social media, you've heard them all. And we can make fun of them. But the problem is humans are not changing, and humans are causing the suffering to animals. 2 trillion fish are taken from the ocean every single year. This is equivalent to being waterboarded to death. When you pull a fish out of the water, it has too much oxygen. Just like if you put water on somebody's mouth, they'll breathe in too much water. So we're basically waterboarding 2 trillion animals to death. The most extreme form of torture to human beings we're doing to 2 trillion species on this planet every single year. And we call that health food. We've got a long way to go, but let's keep educating. Thank you for bringing us together, letting us share some of these ideas, and I hope we can reach some people to say, hey, there is hope and that this can be viral. If a TikTok video can be viral and go millions, good information like this should be able to too.
I think so too, Geoff. I appreciate you sharing that. So as you were saying the part about the fish, I was thinking, don't worry, Geoff, we'll run out of fish in a few more years. With the suffering will stop, but we will lose all of our health food per se. But no, I think that's an excellent point. I want to try and wrap it up where we can. I love each of you to give me, like, what's that one website or action item that we could do for the environment or for the animals that you highly recommend, along with how can people get in touch with you and learn more about what you have going on and support you on their journey and support you on your journey as well. So Jim, you want to kick us off?
Sure. I think, to recap, what we're all doing here together is the goal of empowering people. Because when you give somebody who's lost, disoriented, upset, sad, angry, and everything, if you give them the tools, the ability to become empowered and knowledgeable, they have that strength, that inner fire to keep going, and to defy all of these obstacles that are at them. Because through nutrition, you teach them how to get rid of their diabetes because of all the crap that they've been eating. You teach them to get rid of their cholesterol and feel so much stronger, healthier, more energetic. They are now empowered. They want to share the joy. They want to hand that torch over to the next person and say, oh my God, I got rid of all my medication because I started going this way. And then they light that fire, and everywhere they'll be ablaze all over the place by just doing that, by empowering them. And on top of that, it just splits down all the meat. Because, everybody asks, why are you vegan? For the animals, for the environment, for me, right? I'm all three mixed together, equal ratios. But now, somebody who's in it completely for the animals, well, guess what? I've just empowered you to make a stand, to defy those power monsters out there. And now you can show that you're making a huge difference. Environment, same thing, all those different things. So empowering people is the absolute way to go. And That's what I'm doing with Bro Pro Vegans. If you want to learn more about Bro Pro Vegans, go to broprovegans.com. It's all there. There's a forum there right now for guys to learn, to chat, to support and educate one another, and to grow together and inspire each other. There's a whole educational component coming soon, which is going to be phenomenal. It's a big volume of everything you can possibly need to know to be the healthiest, happiest, strongest you can be. And at the same time, make bonded friends with other guys who are all like-minded. It's unbelievable. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. Geoff?
Yeah, we're starting back up a new podcast. So I'm going to be focusing on our latest product launch, the United Nations study that brought everybody together. They asked the single question: what could be the biggest impact in shifting our food system to a sustainable approach? And they came up with one response, one unified response, which they published in 2024, which is shift our protein growing to mycelium. And that's what I'll be launching this summer, the very first 100% whole food mycelium protein powder. Higher in amino acids, branched chain amino acids, essential amino acids than plant proteins, the richest source of spermidine, the most anti-aging polyamine ever discovered, addresses all 12 aspects, improves all 12 aspects of aging on a cellular level. This will singularly change the way we think about protein. The first whole food protein powder with chitosan, which binds to cholesterol, triglycerides, and even PFAS, the forever chemicals, and pulls them out of the system. From detoxification to weight loss to anti-aging, the health benefits in this whole food source will change the way we approach protein. I'm so proud to be the first and only company in the world to bring this to market this summer, and I hope it makes a really big difference, especially on the dairy industry. If anybody knows anything about the dairy industry, it is one of the most grotesque and brutal industries in the world. The female is raped continuously, impregnated against her will continuously, and then having her children immediately after they're born stripped from her. I can't imagine what the emotional anguish that animal goes through. It is the absolute worst industry in our industry, and I'm hoping to change that because this protein is actually shown to be more anabolic, more muscle building than whey protein. No other plant protein is ever shown to do that. We now have a way to get rid of the $22 billion dairy industry in whey protein and replace it with mycelium. So that's my contribution, my give back. I'm going to keep looking for give backs like this to get people a better choice than the animal products they're using, so they don't have to contribute to this amount of suffering in the world.
Thank you, Geoff. Well said. We look forward to supporting you as you launch that. So hopefully you can come back on the show over the summer and tell us more about that. And Ella, last but not least, tell us where they can get in touch with you and any action tips you might have.
Yeah, Bryan, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here and great to spend this time with you, Jim, and you guys. Geoff is who I reach out to, and I bug him all the time. If I've got a nutrition question, there's nobody on this planet who knows more than Geoff, I swear. So definitely check out his YouTube lives and all this. And for me, I think the best way to stay in touch and see what I'm doing is my newsletter called the Soul Aligned Sunday Newsletter, where I share about my journey, which is really a diverse journey. I just retore my ACL. I've been a lifelong athlete. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a wellness coach, holistic fitness coach. And I share pretty poetically about my journey in ways that bring a lot of value to the reader. So ellamajors.com/newsletter is where you can sign up for that. ellamajors.com, last name's MAGERS.com is where you can check out my coaching and Ella@ellamajors.com if you are interested in getting coaching, whether that be more fitness or if you've got cravings that you can't seem to get a grip on, emotional eating. That's my specialty when it comes to coaching. Yeah, thanks Bryan for doing what you do, and great to be here with all of you.
I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much for this great conversation today. I know the headlines might be grim, but I do think the movement is stronger than ever. So remember, every time you eat plants, you're opting out of the cruelty, you're opting out of pollution, corporate deception, all the things that we talked about here. And I wrote down real men eat plants, but real people eat plants. Real people stay informed on these topics, and real people do not wait for Washington to do the right thing. They do it themselves. So really appreciate all of you being here, and go out there and be the change that we all want to see in this world. Thank you all for listening, and we hope to have you back on another episode soon. Thanks, everybody.
All right, you've reached the end of another enlightening episode of Real Men Eat Plants. We've revved up the man machine and explored the thrilling world of veggies. Remember, guys, flexing your manhood isn't about the size of the steak on your plate, but the strength of sprouts in your salad bowl. For those eager to continue their journey towards plant-powered masculinity, buckle up and head over to our website at realmeneatplants.com. There, you'll unlock access to exclusive content, mouth-watering recipes, and advice from the plant-based powerhouses themselves. Oh, and don't forget to follow us on social media for your daily dose of inspiration and connect with a community of men just like you who have joined the Plant Parade. Remember, it's not just about becoming stronger, healthier, and more vibrant. You're also becoming an eco-warrior, playing a vital role in the wellness of our planet. We appreciate your support and can't wait to catch up with you in the next episode. Until then, keep fueling your manhood with Mother Nature's pantry. And remember, with a sprig of humor, Real Men Eat Plants will be rooting for you until we meet again.